Champions for Hire.
Welcome back to Games for Hire. I'm Matthew Perry. With me tonight are the usual gang, Will Polston, RJ Strope, and Jamil King. And we are back for our Super Bowl prediction, Super Bowl 55. It is this Sunday in sunny Tampa Bay, Florida, home to me, Jamil, RJ, and used to be Will, but Indiana must be treating him pretty well. We are back with our Super Bowl predictions, and we figured we would go through our normal spiel of going through the game, taking a look at matchups, stuff like that, and have more of an open floor kind of vibe for this episode and kind of hear everybody's thoughts. We'll start with key matchups to look at between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Kansas City Chiefs. I'll leave the floor open, and whoever feels like sharing can go right ahead.
All right, I'll start it off.
Start. All right.
That's all I'm gonna say. I think the biggest matchup off rip is how do the Bucs guard Tyreek Hill? That's essentially the main reason they lost the first matchup. Tyreek Hill ran berserk on the Bucs secondary. The Bucs secondary decided to play a lot of man coverage on Tyreek Hill, which was their first mistake. Their second mistake was having Carlton Davis, probably their slowest corner, even though he's their best man guy on Tyreek Hill, and it didn't end up good. So this game is going to be how do they match up with him? You can't. The problem is you can't just sit there and play zone against the Chiefs because Pat Mahomes is going to eventually carve you up like Drew Brees normally would, like he did the first 2 games of the season. But you can't play man because he's so fast. So it's definitely going to be who guards him this game. I think they're going to have to double team him every single play of this game.
Yeah, I think this is going to be so much of just Todd Bowles versus Eric Bieniemy. That's what it's really going to come down to. OC of Kansas City versus the DC of Tampa Bay. I don't know who. Obviously something's got to give, and it's going to be how can you make adjustments from the last game, because we saw Tyreek Hill go absolutely ballistic, and that can't happen. Once the Super Bowl is a completely different stage. Obviously for Tom Brady, it's nothing new. It's his 10th one he's going into. But for everybody else, I mean, this could be your first time, or one of them at least. I know Jason Pierre-Paul's got a couple and everything like that. But for the most part, it's the first rodeo for a lot of these guys, and it's going to be a different atmosphere. Kansas City's been there before, so it's going to be a matter of fact of staying in the game. Managing that really explosive offense, because they have potential to go ridiculous. But the thing is that both offenses were amazing. Tampa Bay was number 3 in scoring, and Kansas City was number 4. So, you can't count out either one whenever it comes down to that.
Yeah. Look, Tyreek Hill had 200 receiving yards in the first quarter the last time he played the Bucs, or something stupid like that. That's an obvious one. You have to contain Tyreek. You cannot let Tyreek get over the top and bust it open and just gash you every time he touches the ball. You can't have that. But you guys covered that. So I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to be without their left tackle, Eric Fisher. We've got a great duo of pass rushers in Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul that are going to love going up against a backup left tackle in this Super Bowl. They've got to get pressure on Patrick Mahomes. They've got to hit him. They've got to put him on the ground. They've got to make him uncomfortable. They did a great job of it last week with Aaron Rodgers, or a couple weeks ago. They made him uncomfortable. They made him run. They put pressure on him, but in my opinion, they didn't hit him enough. They didn't get enough sacks. I know they ended up with a few of them, but there were so many missed opportunities. But there were a ton of missed opportunities. They were in the backfield almost every single play, and they only got They got 5 sacks?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you talk about they probably pressured him, I would say 15 times. I mean, there were probably 15 plays. I'd have to go back and actually look where Aaron Rodgers was uncomfortable and he had to deal with pressure in his face. Patrick Mahomes, as great as Aaron Rodgers is, Patrick Mahomes is better when he moves around and makes things happen. We've seen this dude throw sidearm, throw underhand, throw no look, throw with his left hand. This guy does stupid stuff when he's uncomfortable. So you're going to have to actually hit him, and you're going to have to actually put him on the ground, because the pressure's nice, but if you don't finish the play, this is a guy that can start playing backyard football and beat you with a stupid play that you weren't expecting. Now, the second part to that is when JPP and Shaq get pressure and Mahomes starts moving out, it's going to be a big it's going to be of a lot of importance that Levante and Devin White, whoever is there as a spy and whoever is there to kind of contain, don't get too jumpy and don't run in and try to, hit Mahomes and get out of your spot, because that's when a play breaks down and now you've got Tyreek or Hardman or Watkins, whoever, running across and is in your spot, and it's an easy completion for Mahomes. So I think it's a combination of actually put him on the ground. Don't just pressure him. And when you can't put him on the ground and when you're just pressuring him, those linebackers have to stay in their spots. They can't get too excited. They can't let the bright lights and the big game they can't get too caught up in it. They've got to stay where they're supposed to be and contain and make sure that you don't get beat on a stupid play.
Yeah, one thing that I'll take it. So it's worth mentioning that currently at time of recording, Jordan Whitehead and Antoine Winfield Jr. are still out. They're not confirmed active for the game. So this makes the secondary even more of an issue for the Bucs because obviously, Jamil already covered the secondary, but you have Mahomes and then you're going to have backups in the secondary. I mean, this is something that really needs to be paid extra attention to. And it's one of the reasons why I'm not very confident in the Bucs heading into this game.
Well, look, Antoine Winfield, he's going to play. I would be very shocked if that guy didn't play in the Super Bowl. And honestly, knock on wood, the Bucs are pretty healthy. Like, I would be pretty shocked if Antonio Brown, Antoine Winfield, and Jordan Whitehead aren't playing in this game. It's the Super Bowl. Like, you're going to have guys playing hurt. As long as you're not injured, there's a big difference between hurt and injured. And if these guys are just hurt, I promise you they're going to be playing. I don't know. Jamil knows, he's a big college football guy, but the last 2 times that Ohio State has played Clemson in a semifinal game, they've had key players get hurt and then they disappear to the locker room and they come back and they're fine. It was J.K. Dobbins and it was Justin Fields. Whatever kind of medicine they got in Columbus, Ohio, bring it to Tampa. And let's just shoot Winfield and AB and everybody up with it. Let them play. You got a whole, 6-7 months to recuperate. Look, I think the Bucs are going to be pretty healthy.
Yeah, I did. My thing is that even if, Winfield, obviously it's a big loss and same with Whitehead, it sucks to lose those guys, but right now nobody's playing better on the planet right now for a secondary member than Sean Murphy-Bunting. That guy's been playing electric. I think they said he's the first player to ever have an interception in all 3 of the first rounds of the NFL playoffs. That's phenomenal. I'd love to see him tap it off and get all 4 rounds. That'd be amazing. But SMB has been ridiculous right now. He's been shutting people down, and I don't know what it is about him. Held Michael Thomas to literally nothing. Devontae Adams didn't have the greatest game against the Buccaneers, to say the least. Not like he did against Jalen Ramsey, and that's a bigger name. Arguably that was the best corner in the league this year. And still they find a way to scheme him open, but yet the Bucs did enough to make it work. And then also Devin White's been playing ridiculous on that defense right now. And I figure he's going to be the guy who's going to be in coverage against Travis Kelce, which will be fun to watch. That's another matchup I really want to see. Devin White's been playing out of his mind. And really, whenever it comes to Kansas City, you have 2 guys. You have Tyreek Hill and you have Travis Kelce. Outside of that, Sammy Watkins hasn't really been a factor this offseason, or this postseason, I should say. Brian Pringle, Mecole Hardman, then neither one of them. They really, if you can somewhat contain those 2 guys, it's a completely different game. And we've seen that a couple times. Whenever they're held back and they're not busting out for 100+ a piece, Kansas City looks pretty pedestrian. We saw it with 14-17 against Atlanta. And you're getting held back by Atlanta's secondary. I'm sorry, but that's not impressive. It's impressive on Atlanta's fact because they haven't had a good secondary since my lifetime. But it's kind of it's one of those, if you can scheme a way to find a way to cover both of those guys or at least contain them, you're not going to stop them. It's the same thing with Devontae Adams. You're not going to stop him. It's not going to be a 0-catch day. But if you can slow him down, it's a much closer game. You have way less to worry about that.
Yeah, covering.
That's all easier said than done too, because I don't think we've seen one team be able to contain both of them in one game, which is the reason why this
You're not
team
wrong.
flies so high. And I think Travis Kelce is the most unguardable player right now in the game next to Devontae Adams, because no linebacker can stop him on his own. You have to use your safety, and then you do that. That just leaves someone else underneath open on this team. That's why they're so dangerous. You know, you said that Watkins and Mecole Hardman and Pringle, they haven't really done much, but this is the time. Last week they really got Mecole, or 2 weeks ago they really got Mecole Hardman going. In the screen game against the Bills, which is another reason. And it's another way to give him the ball in space. He's not as fast as Tyreek Hill, but he's still probably a top 5 guy in the NFL in speed. So it's up. They got to get people like him involved in this game, I think. And it's just not possible to contain both of them. So you got to do something.
Well, you mentioned the screen game. I don't think that's going to be very effective against the Bucs because we have such a fast defense. If you throw a screen out to Hardman, you're going to have, it's always crowded over there because you got your receivers blocking and stuff. And Devin White is one of the fastest linebackers in the NFL. He is a sideline to sideline guy. He gets over there and you just kind of corner, if it's Hardman or if it's Watkins, whoever it is that gets a screen, you just kind of corner them and keep them up against that sideline and get them, for a loss. I don't think the screen game would be very effective against this Bucs defense because of the speed that this Bucs defense has.
Moving on to sleeper players to watch, and it seems like every year in the Super Bowl there's some unsung hero, whether it's David Tyree with the helmet catch or Jermaine Kearse helping the Seahawks to victory, or even Malcolm Butler with a game-winning cornerback interception. There's always somebody. So I'll leave the floor open for this one, of course. What is one sleeper player that you guys could see making an impact?
I'll go first. Right now, my first thought, whenever it comes to sleeper player and who somebody may not expect to have that big of a contribution, but could come out and kind of control some things, would be Leonard Fournette. I think right now, depending, have we heard Ronald Jones? Is he in? Is he out? Is he? What?
He's going to play, but Leonard Fournette started every game in the playoffs, and it's going to continue.
Right. So it's one of those to where Ronald Jones is, that backfield in general, I guess I should say, whenever you look over on the Kansas City side of things, they have their Tyreek Hill, they have Travis Kelce, Pat Mahomes. You know what they're going to do, and they have Clyde Edwards-Helaire in or out. They still have an all-pro running back in Le'Veon Bell. But whenever you look at the Bucs side of things, you have Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. That list goes on. Gronkowski. But the backfield of the Bucs for a casual fan, or even hell for a guy who watches all the time but maybe just doesn't pay too much attention for the Bucs, you're not going to think too much about that running game. Whether it be Ronald Jones, whether it be Leonard Fournette, or even an old Shady McCoy at this point, you're not even considering it. And so I think right now with that offensive line, the way the Bucs are playing, between Marpet, between Jensen, between Wirfs, they've been playing really well. And I think you could see the running game kind of go off a little bit. I'm concerned whenever it comes to the defensive line of the Chiefs versus the offensive line of the Bucs. I think the Bucs should win those battle in the trenches almost all day long, honestly, on both sides of the ball. And I think the Bucs will take advantage of that. We don't typically see them run much. Well, that's why it's kind of a sleeper pick. You don't expect the Bucs to win on the ground game. And I think we could see that be managed a little bit. Tom Brady will manage a game a little bit. He'll have the running game working, get that conjuring up, and it'll be just enough to where you have to kind of respect it. And that's when you hit those deep balls with Antonio Brown or whoever. So for me, it's the run game of the Bucs.
For me, I like that, Will. I like the way the Bucs have been trying to run the ball a lot more in the playoffs. On the opposite side of that, on the ball for the Bucs, I'm looking at Cameron Brate. We know Brady likes his tight ends. He's been switching off of Gronk. Gronk's been more of a blocker, especially more in the playoffs. He's only had a couple of catches here. So I'm looking for Brate to work the middle of the field on these third downs. When you're locked in on guys like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, if AB plays AD. Brady can work over the middle, and he's been a little bit of a favorite for Brady. So I think he can have a good game here under the radar.
So Jamil, that was actually mine. I was going to go Cameron Brate because I actually had two guys in mind, but after the showing in the Green Bay game, I wasn't sure if this guy was still a sleeper, and that's Scotty Miller. This is a guy that is the number 4 wide receiver on Tampa Bay's depth chart. That guy's a starter on so many different teams. And here he is just struggling to get reps in Tampa. That just shows you how deep this offense is. When Scotty Miller is on the field, that guy is an absolute weapon. Tom Brady loves those guys. He uses them. Look, Scotty Miller could be a big problem for a Chiefs defense that honestly I don't really think is that good. And I think they're going to struggle trying to cover all of the weapons that Tampa Bay's got. They can beat you with like 6 or 7 different guys. So I like the Cameron Brate pick. I think he will probably have a touchdown in this game. But Scotty Miller, I mean, here's a guy that he's just so dynamic.
Yeah, Scotty Miller was actually going to be my sleeper pick too. And you're right, and it shows how deep the Bucs offense is. Because as you mentioned, yeah, he'd be starting in a lot of places, and hopefully he gets some reps. I'd love to see another deep ball like they gave him against the Packers. Those are obviously very fun to watch, and I think they could take advantage of Kansas City's defense in that way, especially since they have so many people to go to. But yeah, so sleeper picks are done.
But before we move on, what about Kansas City?
Yeah, we got to hit the Chiefs. I had a couple of things to say about the Chiefs.
I was going to say we all hate Bucs players.
Yeah, I had a couple of things to say about the Chiefs.
Yeah, go ahead, Jamil.
I think for the Chiefs, I'm a big thing we have to watch out for. I'm gonna pick a whole group of players for my sleeper. I think their running backs are something we have to look at. You know, in the first matchup against the Bucs, neither team really ran the ball at all. I think each team had less than 10 carries altogether. Last week against the Chiefs, Darrell Williams led the team, and 2 weeks ago against the Bills, Darrell Williams led the Chiefs in carries with 13, and Clyde only had 6. We even see Le'Veon Bell. So I think it'll be interesting to see, which one of these running backs grabs the bull by the horn, if you would. I think it's going to be Darrell Williams to get the most carries, but I think they're going to need a little bit more production out of the running game this time around, because I think the Bucs are going to key in, like you said, Will, they're going to have to try to contain Kelsey and Hill, even though it's hard to do. I think the Chiefs are going to have to run the ball a little bit more. They really haven't been trying to do it, and I think they're going to need to do it to have more success this game.
I think we should just go 5 wide the whole game.
It seems like that they want to do.
No backs at all. Let's just do that. And because of that, that kind of leads to my sleeper pick a little bit on the opposite side of the ball. Talking about the defense, I was going to go Brashad Breeland whenever it comes down to it. Brashad saw a lot of reps up against Stephon Diggs in the Bills game, and honestly, he did his thing. Again, Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen's been a connection that's been amazing all year. It's another thing that you're not going to stop. You're just going to have to hope to contain, and contain was the right word for it. I want to say 6 or 8 catches. I don't remember which, but 77 yards and no touchdown. To say you held Stephon Diggs under 100 with no score is phenomenal, especially with the way the Bills have been playing this season. Now, their nickel corner did kind of struggle a little bit against Cole Beasley, so you'd like to see a little bit better with that, but we're going to shoot Brashad Breeland up against the Antonio Browns, the Chris Godwins, the Mike Evans. And so the cornerback group as a whole needs to do something. They need to find a way to hold it down, because whenever you're looking at the Chiefs defense, you might recognize some names in the front 7, and obviously you're going to recognize Tyrann Mathieu, but a lot of people don't know the names on the secondaries of the Kansas City Chiefs outside of Tyrann Mathieu. And whenever they have Ward and they have Breeland, like, they have names out there that could do something and they can make something happen. Overall, they still had the number 11 scoring defense this year. So honestly, it's been one thing to where we've always talked about, the Kansas City Chiefs, they'd be right there. They'd be continuous if they just had a defense. They have a defense. They're honestly not that bad. They're not, obviously, whenever it comes down, you say, they're not top 10. You're right. They're number 11. Okay. You're just outside of it. They're a solid group, but it's just not exactly household names. Whenever now you're thinking of it, when you look at the Bucs side, you see Ndamukong Suh, you see Jason Pierre-Paul, you see guys who have been around and they have those veteran presence and everything like that. And other than Tyrann Mathieu, you don't see those names exactly on the Kansas City Chiefs, but they get it done. They do enough to keep them in, as well as the offense. I mean, it's hard not to keep that offense in the game, but they do enough to get by, and that's why they're here in the Super Bowl. So I think the cornerbacks are going to have to step up for the Kansas City Chiefs to win this one.
We'll move on to what each team needs to win, and whether that is secondary help or a good run game. Everyone needs something. So once again, we'll open the floor. What does each team need to win this game?
Under 200 yards combined, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Right now, I'm stamping it.
I don't envision that happening.
Under 200?
They need
combined. I see there's no possible way.
Hey, okay, there might not be. Okay,
I hope so, but that's
I hope
asking for a lot.
too. Here's the thing: you talked about what needs to happen. I said
That is
earlier,
true.
they need to contain. Once you contain those two, this team's a lot more pedestrian. Obviously those are freaks. Tyreek Hill is considered a top wide receiver in the game. Travis Kelce's probably the most unstoppable human right now when it comes to football. Whenever you look past that, Sammy Watkins, okay. Mecole Hardman, you're fast, but all right, whatever. Javon Wims is fast, but you can still drop a ball in the end zone. Shout out Bears. But whenever it comes down to that, ultimately, who you have to guard. You know what this game's going to come to. The playbook. You don't know the playbook, but the main facilitators of the Chiefs offense. It's Pat Mahomes. It's 15, it's 87, and it's 10. If you can find a way to slow that down, then you have an amazing chance to win. We've seen it so many times this year. From week 8 to week 17, they did not beat a team by double digits. And that's a problem, and a good team would capitalize on that. Like I said, their defense has done enough and they've stepped up in times when it's important, and their defense could do the same exact thing on Sunday. But whenever I'm looking at it, they need to find a way combined to slow them down and keep them under 200. I think if you keep them under 200, I don't care what the rest of anything happens, unless the defense of the Chiefs plays out of their mind, there's no way the Bucs lose this game. Because if they can contain that, they're going to have to rely on Sammy Watkins and Mecole Hardman. And I'm sorry, but I'll take the defense of the Bucs over those guys. Pat Mahomes is a legend. Pat Mahomes is already amazing to watch. Probably the best quarterback of his generation. We'll see that upcoming as careers play out. But if that can happen, the Bucs have such a better chance of winning this game. And so to make that happen, Hill, Kelce, under 200. That's what I say needs to happen.
Lofty expectations will there. I hope the Bucs can come through with that. For me, the Bucs have to play a full game. They got to play a full 4 quarters. If you watch any of the Bucs games this season, you'll notice they always, it's either the first or the third. They just don't show up. And they've gotten lucky, especially against the Packers. That almost would have cost them the whole game, because in the third quarter, they had the ball one time and the defense was on the field the whole quarter and they started to get hurt and the Packers came back. So in this game, especially against the Chiefs, and we saw it the first time they played them, Brady threw a couple of picks. The Chiefs took control of the game and the Bucs came back at the end, but it was too little too late. They didn't get the ball back in the last 5 minutes. So if you're going to win this game, you have to play complete 4 quarters. Doesn't mean you have to dominate and you have to score 20 points every quarter and you have to lock them down, but your offense can't go on a hiatus and go 3 and out 3 times. And your defense can't get gashed for 200 yards in 1 quarter. You just have to keep the game close for all 4 quarters. You just got to play good football for 4 quarters, get a couple first downs and you punt. That's okay. You just can't have your continuous 3 and outs and not showing up for a whole quarter. Otherwise, this game could get ugly fast.
Yeah. This is going to sound like a layup. This is going to sound really cliche. It's going to sound, anybody could say this, but you have to win the turnover battle. You mentioned it, Jamil. The Bucs were extremely, extremely lucky to beat the Packers. You look at Tom Brady, he had 3 second half interceptions and they still won the game. That doesn't happen. I'm sorry. Like, if any quarterback, unless it's like a total blowout, but like if any quarterback throws 3 interceptions in the second half of a football game, they usually don't win those games. So Tampa should be lucky that they got past Green Bay. And I think it was because the defense played so well in containing Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers, and honestly basically completely eliminating the run game. I think that's going to be a big thing. Also, Vita Vea came back last week. We didn't know how much he was going to play. He played a lot. I think he wasn't on the field for the first series, and then I never saw him leave the field again. I think he was on the field for the whole game after the first series. If they can make the Chiefs one-dimensional, it's going to sound stupid, but if you just keep the ball in Mahomes' hands, all right, don't let them get
You're
balanced.
right. That does kind of sound stupid.
It sounds stupid, but don't let them get balanced, because as soon as they start to get balanced, that's when you start to cheat in, and that's when Tyreek hits you. That's when Kelce gets you. It's not a recipe for success if a team is balanced against you. You got to make them one-dimensional. I don't care that they have the best quarterback on the planet in Patrick Mahomes. If that offense cannot run the ball, and if Tampa Bay doesn't turn the ball over, I mean, you have a great great chance of winning.
Yeah, one thing I noticed watching the game last week, Bucks Packers, is questionable decisions. I mean, several of Brady's interceptions were passes that maybe shouldn't have been made or should have went to a different target. The Bucks need to watch their decisions. It's the biggest game of the year. So I wouldn't take a risk unless you really, really have to get desperate. Brady was taking a lot of risks last week, making his way downfield with throws, and for some of them worked, like the touchdown to Scotty Miller, but some of them didn't. Like I believe it was the third quarter, at least one of the interceptions was on a deep ball downfield. So
yeah, one of them was like a punt.
yeah, exactly.
That was the last one.
Exactly. And arm punts are okay in some circumstances, but considering it's a Super Bowl and you're going against one of the most lethal offenses of recent memory, headlined by Mahomes, you're going to want to watch the decisions you make. So if I'm the Bucks, I maybe start out playing a little more conservative on offense. Obviously, Brady can throw deep if he has to. We saw it before, but I don't know if I want to take that risk. It really depends on the situation. But playing smart on offense, I think, is definitely an important thing that can help the Buccaneers win.
And obviously that goes for both teams. We talked about how the Bucks got, 3 interceptions last week? The Bucks were intercepted. So, and like we said, teams don't typically win those games. We saw Kansas City beat the Miami Dolphins in the regular season and Patrick Mahomes threw 3 picks. That's not going to happen against Tampa Bay. Okay. Because Tampa Bay knows who their quarterback is. Whenever it comes down to it, they have a much more prolific offense. They have a much more consistent offensive line, a much more established quarterback, and way better receivers. So whenever it comes down to it, you can't pull stuff like that in the Super Bowl. This has to be clean, no mistakes football. And so, I mean, everybody's right whenever it comes down to it. The corners have to step up for Kansas City. The Bucks have to contain those guys. The running game has to get going for Kansas City. It's an element we haven't seen. And obviously the turnovers are going to be a huge thing. But this is going to be a thing to where if you see 1 or 2 turnovers, it could be the game, because these are 2 offenses that play a lot of flawless football whenever it comes down to it, especially in the passing game. It's going to be fun to watch. I think we're in for one of the more entertaining Super Bowls of some time.
I actually want to see them come out more aggressive. You said, you want to see a more conservative effort. If you watch us play, almost every drive, every first down is a handoff right up the middle to Leonard Fournette.
Absolutely.
And they cannot get involved in that again in this game. This is the biggest game of the season. If there's a time to switch it up and do a play action shot downfield or a play action drag, that's now.
So the time has come. It's time for us to make our predictions for Super Bowl 55. Bucks or Chiefs? I'll start with you, Will.
Woo! Oh, go. That's just because he knows where the other 2 are going. So for me, this is tough. It really is tough. These are 2 teams that are phenomenal. When you look at it, the Bucks have the number 3 scoring offense. Chiefs have number 4. When they have the number 8 scoring defense, the Chiefs have number 11. These are phenomenal teams. Okay, whenever it comes down to it. And this is honestly the 2 best quarterbacks of their generation. We're seeing Tom Brady, the best of his generation. Patrick Mahomes, obviously right now, the clear cut to be the favorite or the best of his generation. So we're lucky to get this Super Bowl. It's no Brady Goff. Okay. This is Brady Mahomes. This is a real Super Bowl. Okay. But when it comes down to it, right now, the Bucks are playing hotter. And I'm going to take the Bucks to win the Super Bowl because nobody, and I mean nobody, including myself, should ever bet against number 12 when it comes to the playoffs. And I have said it so many times. Whenever you look at it, the Bucks are a really solid team, and their record said that, but their record also didn't capture what that team is. That team is young on defense, and they're fast. They're led by some really good veteran players in Levante and JPP. And then on the offensive side, the same thing whenever it comes to Tom Brady and Fournette and everything like that. I take the Bucks. I think the Bucks are going to pull it out, and I think TB12 brings an aura that makes you want to play up to his level. And I think the Bucks do just enough to contain Kansas City and walk away with the Lombardi Trophy.
Jamel?
Yeah, I'm going to be a full homer here. I'm going to definitely take the Bucks here to win this football game. Like Will said, this team's coming in riding hot. He mentioned the Tom Brady effect. He just makes you want to play to a higher standard. I know the Chiefs have the more electric offense, but I think the Bucks have the deeper offense, and I think they have the faster defense, and I think the defense is going to make one play just enough at the end to seal the game for the Bucks.
RJ?
I love that you gave love to the defense, because I'm going to make a lot of predictions here. I've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning the Super Bowl 34-27. And I'm actually going to say that the MVP of this Super Bowl will not be Tom Brady. It's going to be Devin White, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense is going to score a touchdown in this Super Bowl, and it really could be either a scoop and score or a pick six by Devin White. This guy has been on another planet the last few weeks. Tampa Bay is the hottest team in the league, obviously. This is the more complete team. Kansas City is only the favorite in this game because of Mahomes, Kelsey, and Tyreek. When you compare 53, like the rosters, no, Tampa absolutely has the better team. I'm going to go with the Bucs. Tom Brady, this is his 10th Super Bowl. He knows what he's doing. So 34-27, Devin White's winning MVP.
As a supporter of Tampa Bay sports, I would love to see the Buccaneers win the Super Bowl, but I have to play devil's advocate. There had to be somebody, So
you don't have to.
I would like to.
Oh, we all took the Rays of the Dodgers one. Someone's got to say it.
Yeah, I would like to.
This guy stinks.
I would like to take the Chiefs. I'm very worried about the Buccaneers secondary because we don't know. We know they'll play, but we don't know how well they will play. They've always been a question mark all season. I know they've had a pretty somewhat decent playoff run, especially headlined by SMB, who I expect to have another good game, but he can't do everything up there, and Mahomes is going to throw all over him. I do think Devin White could have a very good game. I could see him being MVP if the Bucs do win it. And I could definitely see them, the defense scoring a touchdown, a Rondé NFC Championship style moment. That would be great to see, but I am very worried. What?
Nothing.
Okay. I'm very worried about the secondary. I do think the Bucs defensive line will make Mahomes uncomfortable, but if anyone can work in traffic, it's Patrick Mahomes. It's tough to go against Brady just because of how successful he's been in the past, and obviously the Bucs are the hottest team in the NFL right now. I mean, they're on quite the streak, but I do think the streak could come to an end, and if it's going to come to an end, I mean, it has to be now. So Super Bowl champions, Kansas City Chiefs, they go back to back.
Oh,
I hate to be in that situation, but
RJ,
someone had to do it.
We're not going to let him get our mood down. I have a song for you since I know you're at every Bucs game. This is for the Bucs. We're taking it home.
We're going to get copyright for this.
I was going to say, this episode just got copyrighted.
Yeah, we're getting taken down.
Ready to fire the cannons,
He's getting a phone call.
And now somebody's getting a phone call.
And I got a phone call. Okay.
Well, a bunch of rookies on this podcast.
Yeah, that's the city of Tampa telling you to suck it.
It's probably someone calling about my extended warranty on my vehicle. If you know about that, I mean, that's all day. They don't stop. They really don't stop. What are you going to do? But
RJ said Devin White, you know what? I'm going from CTE to MVP. Give me Antonio Brown, baby.
Wow.
Give me AB for
this
Super
dude
Bowl.
said CTE
yeah, that
to
one
MVP.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
I'd make a shirt if he wins.
Put that on a T-shirt, a magazine
MVP.
cover, the front page of the Tampa Bay Times. Put it everywhere.
And he's throwing those gummy male paraphernalia shaped gummy through at the cops.
Goodness.
Oh yeah.
The parade. That's what he's throwing to the crowd during the parade.
That's all I'm doing.
Need that.
CTE to MVP, baby. Antonio Brown. It's time. It's 81 season now. Not 84. 81 in Tampa Bay.
All right, it's time to take this thing home. Thank you guys for watching. This has been our Super Bowl 55 predictions. For Jamil, RJ, Will, I've been Matthew Perry. We've been the GMs for Hire, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
Go Bucs.